Good afternoon. Petra Kalive is the Artistic Director of State Theatre Company, South Australia, and it's my pleasure to be able to introduce her to you today. And I quote from one of the many articles that I read about Petra. She is a director known for harnessing the transformative power of theatre to connect communities and amplify voices that need to be heard. With a career spanning independent, community, educational and commercial main stages, Petra was appointed by the State Theatre as the first female director in 20 years and only the third woman to hold this position in the company's history. She is a proud Greek Australian from Melbourne who didn't begin her professional career as a theatre director, but as a 17-year-old studying a science degree, dreading becoming a dietitian, while still being passionate about the arts. She completed her science degree, and I congratulate you on that, considering what you really wanted to do, and immediately auditioned for the drama school placements. After many diverse career opportunities, with determination and hard work in theatre, she became the artistic director she is today. The State Theatre of South Australia, 26 year, is an extra special year as it marks Petra's very first season as artistic director. This inaugural season is a collection of world premieres, modern Australian masterworks and new takes on classics from the Western canon. If you've looked at your booklets on the table, you'll understand it's very diverse. So today I welcome Petra to tell us her story, and her topic is State Theatre Company 2026, Stories That Shape Us, with Artistic Director Petra Kalive. Petra.
Brilliant. Thank you, Kay. Oh, here we go. Got it.
Oh.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me today. I'm absolutely delighted to be here. I'm really excited to share State Theatre Company's 2026 season. And as Kay said, a bit like the brochure, I guess, it's a season of many colours. I think there's something in there for everyone. It brims with joy, it's playful, it's full of humour, and it'll make you think. Before I say anything else, I just want to acknowledge the privilege of telling stories on Kaurna land. It's a place where storytelling, song and dance has been central to culture for thousands of years, and it's a privilege to continue to tell stories on these lands. I thought I'd tell you a little bit about me, because I thought you might want to know a little bit about who's been making all the decisions about programming this work. So I grew up in Melbourne. Please don't hold that against me. And I came into this role after working across many corners of theatre. I've been an actor, a director, a dramaturg, which is kind of like a script doctor, a teacher, a facilitator. In fact, I did anything and everything I could to survive in the arts. My last major role was Associate Director at Melbourne Theatre Company, and before that I was the Artistic Director of Union House Theatre at Melbourne University. And there I was mentoring students who were studying medicine and law and economics. They were secretly theatre nerds, and I just was dragging them over to the dark side. I trained as an actor at WAPA, and I worked for many years on stage and screen before moving into directing. And once I made the move into directing, I didn't look back. I'm much calmer as a director, much less neurotic. What excites me so much about being the artistic director here is making the local national. Since arriving, I have been blown away by the depth of talent in South Australia, and I feel like my job's really simple. Take these artists and these stories and make sure the rest of the country understands just how good they are. I firmly believe, because of all the experiences I've had, that theatre helps define who we are. It connects us, and I've seen this firsthand. When the right story is told at the right time, it has the power to transform us, individually and collectively. I've seen how the bravery of our writers and artists in theatre, daring to speak things that are a bit uncomfortable, or making us laugh in recognition, or awakening new ways of thinking, how that ripples out and creates waves in our broader cultural conversations. And I really feel like right now, in this increasingly polarised world, where certainty tends to override empathy, theatre is one of those last spaces where we can gather communally in the dark, sit together and explore the grey. We can engage with stories that delight us, that challenge us, that inspire us. And it's my hope that this season, while it looks very pretty, you also find that we're delivering exactly this. Virtuosic artistry, the best of what South Australia has to offer, work that elicits awe, makes you feel and makes you think. So you've got your programs on the table, but I'm not going to go through the season chronologically. So I'm going to jump around a bit, because when you're putting a season together, it never appears to you as it would as the year unfolds. It always bubbles up, and then it's my job to kind of place that in the order of the year, depending on when the theatre's available. So first things first, I'm going to start with Logan Street now. That one? Press down? Yeah, got it. Good. So we begin with Logan Street. This is by Kaurna and Narungga writer Jacob Boehm. It's set in 1940s in the southwest corner of Adelaide CBD, which used to be a slum that was known back in the 1940s as Little Beirut. Logan Street is a story about a friendship between an Afghan Kamalia mosque caretaker, a guy called Gul Muhammad, and a young exempted Kaurna Narungga girl who's called Dulcie Sansbury, who also happens to be Jacob, the writer's grandmother. So Dulcie is really curious and desperate to learn how to cook the curries that she smells over the fence. And this is a story of friendship over 10 years. Interwoven into this story of friendship is the story of Minato, which was Dulcie's great-great-grandmother, so Jacob's great-great-great-great-great-great-grandmother. And it's this story of survival and resistance. Minato was a woman who was taken to Kangaroo Island with the sealers, and that she had children there, and then the sealers just up and left her there with all her children. So she swam her children back one at a time from Kangaroo Island back to the mainland, essentially saving her lineage. So this story underpins this story of friendship. It's about friendship and resilience and the perfect korma. It's playing the 24th of July to the 8th of August at the Space Theatre, and it's got people in it like Auntie Lynette Crocker and Uncle Lewis O'Brien, Alexis West, musician Sonia Rankin and Feroz Ansari. It's supported by our presenting partner Celsius and our incredible commissioning circle, who come together to support the development of new works. The next work I've got for you is from the writer of Prima Facie. I don't know if you saw that work. Susie Miller's RBG of Many One, starring the incomparable Heather Mitchell. It's about the life of the Supreme Court Judge Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She was a feminist icon, a legal trailblazer, and performed. I can't tell you how extraordinary Heather Mitchell is in this role. This work has toured the country to sold-out houses and to multiple awards and nominations, and it's taken way too long to come to Adelaide, and I didn't want Adelaide audiences to miss out. So I suggest before it sells out, get tickets to this show. You won't want to miss it. It's witty, it's full of heart, and it packs a political punch. It's the portrait of a woman who reshaped history. It's a once-in-a-generation piece of theatre. It's playing at the Dunstan Playhouse, 10th of April to the 2nd of May. The next one is something I'm directing. So this is my first directing gig with the company, and I'm so excited to be working with an all South Australian cast in this classic comedy of manners, The Importance of Being Earnest. The wit, the style, the elegance. Wilde really was a genius ahead of his time. We've got this incredibly brilliant South Australian ensemble assembled. You might know some of these names, you might not. Some of them are brand new, brilliant newcomers. Others are South Australian acting stalwarts. So we've got Carla Lippis, Glenda Linscott, Carolyn Mignon, Nathan O'Keefe, Teddy Dunn, Anna Linda, Connor Pullinger and Pierre Gillings. Not to mention a lush design by Catherine Sproul, if you know of her work. It's playing in the Dunstan Playhouse, May 8 to 30. It's supported by Wardenish and our major production circle. I'm so excited. This is going to be fast and furious and funny and pure joy. I can't wait. That we've just done a design presentation of the set and costume design, and it's looking pretty special. The next show is also an interstate work, but it was winner of the Best New Work at the Sydney Theatre Awards, recipient of multiple Green Room nominations, and it's had a sold-out national tour. This is another one I didn't want South Australian audiences to miss out on. It's also just had a production in New York off-Broadway to rave reviews, and it is Trophy Boys by Emmanuel Matana. I first saw Trophy Boys many years ago in a development at La Mama Theatre in Melbourne, which is a small independent company that develops new work. And I was blown away by it in its development stage. And since then, as I said, it has gone gangbusters. Emmanuel Matana is a really early career writer, but she's just come out of the gates running. It's political, it's charged, it's funny. It's going to have you having intense debates on the way home in the car. A group of 4 boys at school are preparing for their debate competition, and they need to debate whether feminism has failed women. However, they are played by female actors. So there's a real exploration here of privilege and masculinity, and this is absolutely something to bring your teenage children or grandchildren to. Conversations about adolescence and entitlement and the ego of Australia's next generation of politicians and power brokers, it's really not to be missed either. It's playing at the Space Theatre. It's already in rehearsals. It's having a tour of regional South Australia before it hits the Space Theatre March 17 to April 2nd. This is supported by our presenting partner Adina, our creative partners Soft Tread and the Maybe Pile, and the Department of Education and Country Arts South Australia. I was actually doing a bit of research on Rotary, and I was like, if there are your youth program of enrichment, if there are people in that would like to come along, just let me know. So when I came on board and came into the company, what I saw in the state coming from Melbourne was the decimation basically of the independent sector. And the independent sector is where these young, new voices find their feet in the theatre, and that's where we get our next generation of cultural leaders and voices and writers and actors and thinkers. And what's happened in South Australia is because of a series of funding cuts, a lot of those companies aren't operating anymore. So what I thought State Theatre could do was support independent theatre companies to present bold new work and new ideas, and we would give them the theatre for free, and we would make sure that they had production support, so they're producing and marketing and someone to do their sets and help out with their costumes. And I've called this program the Spark Program. So our first Spark work is by Mary Angley, who I think is going to go gangbusters, and she's created a work Uncle Vanya, but there's ASMR, soap cutting, videos playing in the bottom right-hand corner. And Mary says of this radical reimagining of Uncle Vanya, that we're bringing you a production of Anton Chekhov's Uncle Vanya that keeps the original glorious text with its urgent questions like what do we do with a life that didn't turn out how we planned, and when is labour undervalued, but bringing it to you in a style inspired by those videos where they combine multiple video streams together so you can't look away. So they're bringing puppetry and TikTok and a tag team wrestling match and, most importantly, ASMR. Anyone here know what ASMR is? You've got night time's worth of a deep dive on YouTube ahead of you. So they'll put a microphone up really close to people cutting soap or playing with jewellery, and it sends tingles down your spine because of the sounds that it makes. It affects lots of people differently, but that's what ASMR is. So if you've never watched it, they're pretty glorious. So she's meshing what's happening in the modern, social media landscape and in Chekhov's world and creating theatre of the future. I think it's going to be radical and brilliant and electrifying. And if you want your mind blown away by the next generation reshaping Australian theatre, this is the one to see. It's playing in the middle of the year, 9th to the 18th of July, at the Australian College of the Arts. And they're the venue that are supporting this work. So we've snaffled their semester break time, and that's when this show will be in there. So it's been supported by the Australian College of the Arts and TAFE SA. The next one is an internationally acclaimed comedy, and it's won a Tony Award for Best Play and the Olivia Award for Best Comedy. It's already started previews in Sydney. It's touring Australia, and it is Yasmina Reza's Art. It's been adapted by Christopher Hampton, and it's a masterclass in comic precision. And I can't help thinking, with Richard Roxburgh, Damon Herriman and Toby Schmitz, it's going to be extraordinary. For those of you who have never heard of this play before, it is about a guy called Serge who's proud and slightly pompous, and he buys a painting that's, white, just a white canvas, entirely white, and it's incredibly expensive, which doesn't go down well with his best friends. So on the surface, this play is about three men arguing over a canvas, but really it's about how we navigate friendships and how fragile they can be when pride and ego get involved. It's thrilling, it's funny, at times it's excruciating, in a good way. It's the kind of play that you'll absolutely be talking about afterwards. And unlike the play, I hope those conversations don't ruin any friendships. It's playing at Her Majesty's Theatre for only a few nights, the 20th to the 24th of May. Tickets are selling like hotcakes, so I would get in before they sell out. It's presented by Rodney Rigby, Mariner Group, Paul Wilton and State Theatre Company, South Australia. This next one, in a weird twist of fate, I guess, is a modern kind of take on art, written by an incredible and, again, Melbourne writer, Ash Flanders. If you don't know him, you absolutely should. He's best known as a performer, though. He's got a slew of awards to his name. And he's also written this brand new Australian play called Commentary. We're incredibly proud to premiere this work. It's about a once successful filmmaker being offered a second chance and just how much he'll risk to get it. Because in this world right now, where everyone thinks it's not only necessary to have an opinion, but to share it online, commentary becomes the new content. Why are we told how to feel about an artwork, a news item and a person before we've even encountered them? And when everyone's screaming louder and louder into the void, what voice can we trust? Commentary is a very funny play that looks at this hypocrisy. It's personal, it's heartfelt, and it's asking questions about love and forgiveness and ambition. It's starring Guyton Grantley, and for those of you who might remember Underbelly, he was Carl Williams in Underbelly, and most recently in House Husbands, and 3 brilliant South Australian women, Kate Shield, newly graduated Flinders student Sade Santos, and Anna Steen. I get to direct this work too. I'm so excited about it. It's playing the Dunstan Playhouse 21st of August to the 5th of September. It's supported by our presenting partner Novatech and the Adelaide Festival Centre. So our next work is our second Spark work for the year. Another brilliant South Australian writer. This is an outrageous and unholy and tender play, and don't let the image make you shy away from this work. It's called Log Boy. It's a play about love and memory and what it means to keep living after a loss. It centres a young writer navigating grief after the death of his partner. And it was inspired by Anthony Nashera, the writer of this work, his own long-term relationship with Jamie Anderson. You might have seen an ABC article about this recently. At its heart, it's about a trio of characters who are bound by affection and by history and by shared experience. It captures the legacy of a generation that was shaped by the AIDS crisis and the way memory, grief, and grief in particular, can haunt us. It was originally conceived as a fictional imagining of loss, but it was rewritten after Anthony's partner died in 2022. And in the honesty and the heart that Anthony brings to the redrafting of this work, it's quite profound. The result is a play that sits delicately between grief and joy. It's playing the 1st to the 10th of October at the Adelaide College of the Arts again, and it's proudly supported by TAFE SA and Adelaide College of the Arts. And our final show for the year, it's a really special work for me, although I'm not directing this one. The writer of this work, Aidan Fennessy, was a mentor of mine, and he was a brilliant actor, writer and director, and his philosophies around theatre and its potential impact still resonate for me today because he really wanted to create theatre that spoke beyond the 10-kilometre radius of the city. He thought that, like I do, that theatre should be for everyone and that the benefits of storytelling and collectively gathering to share an experience were not just for the privileged few but for everyone. I know he'd approve. Unfortunately, Aidan passed away a few years ago, but I know he'd approve of who I've asked to direct this show, and that is Shannon Rush, who I believe spoke last year at the drinks, at lunch, and she directed Housework for us this year, last year, as well as The Glass Menagerie. She is a fabulous director, and the work Housework is touring to Sydney this year, which is very, very exciting. So it's The Heartbreak Choir. And it's a drama comedy set in a regional town where a splinter choir has begun rehearsals. So 6 strangers who are all nursing something that's broken inside them collide on stage and discover that the only way to survive their pain is to sing together. It's warm and it's funny and it's deeply generous. It's about the power of community and how healing happens collectively. I feel like it's a perfect ending to the year. And shortly coming up, as part of the Adelaide Festival, we have White Fella Yellow Tree that we're supporting, a beautiful queer love story by Dylan Vanderberg. This has won a slew of awards and is part of the Adelaide Festival and on in a hot minute at the 12th to the 15th of March. So the shows, and I'm almost done, okay. The shows that you see are only part of the picture. We're really busy behind the scenes working on new South Australian commissions, and the next few years you're going to see works from people like Verity Lawton and Jim Smith, Jane Bodie and Melissa Bubnick. But that was our season, 9 plays. Some hold up a mirror to our present, others reach back through history, some offer comfort and joy, while others explode form and style. I think they really celebrate the richness of the voices shaping South Australian stages today, and they celebrate really brilliant South Australian talent. If you'd like to see 4 or more of these, I would recommend becoming a subscriber because then you're the first to secure seats. And there's a few shows in next year's season that I think are likely, this year's season I should say, that are likely to sell out. And subscribing means that you don't miss out on those. And subscription prices are generally a bit cheaper. You can have a gold subscription, and then you get all these perks like going opening night and backstage tours and very exciting things to do, and you get invited to special events. But we've also opened up silver subscriptions this year as well, which means that you don't have to go opening night if that doesn't work for you, but you still get a few perks along the way. So I'm just putting that out there as a way to come and see our work and support what State Theatre does. It's been so lovely talking to you today. I hope to see you in a foyer very soon. Thank you very much.
You'll see me in the foyer. I'd just like to say State Theatre's also given a raffle prize to the International Women's Day breakfast raffle. So if anyone's interested in going to that, I'll get Andrew to put that onto the bulletin. So thanks. Okay, well now you know what you're in for. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. I can tell you the most interesting plays I think you'll ever see in 1 year about to happen. And thanks to Petra. And she did promise us, just before you go, a couple of things. Thank you very much. That's our 101 special wine that Zing put together for us. And hope to see you next year. Bye.